This week on Pivot with Purpose, how do you separate what you do from who you are? Because for me, that is tough.
There's a lot that is wrong that is happening in the world that is human created. I don't look at it as negative. It actually does the opposite to me. It fuels me and pisses me off to the point where I feel like I have to do something about it and I want to figure out how to do something about it. I started this work because somebody hung a noose on my door in college.
Hey friend, you're listening to Pivot with Purpose. This is my show where I pivoted from shit I'm 30, where I was dreading turning 30. I had a failed marriage, failed engagement after that, and I don't have a relationship with my immediate family. But through it all, I came out the other side with a thriving business, an unexpected radio morning show of my own, and a platform where I can reach millions of people and help them walk in their truth. I am now celebrating every step of my journey into continuously finding my purpose, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes this journey looks like shit, and it probably sounds even worse, but it's still our journey, and I'm learning right along with you to enjoy it. There's always a rainbow after the rain falls. Now, if you need advice in pivoting in any aspect of your life, relationships, career, spirituality, send your questions or story to askcarlawilmaris@gmail.com or shoot me a DM at @carlawilmaris. Now, let's start the show. Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Pivot with Purpose. It is me, your girl, Carla. Today, I have a really special guest. She is not only, okay, I'm going to explain what she does. We're just going to do this really quick because I'm going to fuck it up regardless, and we're going to talk about it later. She is an organizer of change. Not coins, but like changing the world. Not the quotas, but changing the world. She also is the host of How We Get Free, the podcast. Which is produced by us at Idea to Launch. I actually got her information from Ebony K. Williams one day. She's like, hey, I got a friend. And then you was like, hey, I'm the friend. And we're like, well, let's figure out how do we do this? What do you want to do? And it was really interesting because whenever we take on clients on a weekly basis, we're like, we'll launch some and then people take it. We launch. That's what we do most of the time. But to take it on as a client, it's like, I want it to be something different. If I'm going to have my team listening to something or someone on a weekly basis, it has to make sense. I don't want us listening to just trash content all the time. I want it to uplift us. I want us to learn. If that's not what it is, then we really won't produce it. I had a OnlyFans young lady that wanted for us to produce, and I just didn't. She's very controversial, very out there, and it's like, that's cool, and I get that's your brand, but I just can't see myself having one of my producers producing that every single week.
That's really important. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because it just changes who you are. We are what we take in, like we are what we eat. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
So we are what we eat. We are what we listen to. And you know how much time we spend listening? Like there's times that I catch myself speaking like the hosts of the things that I'm editing or that I'm watching or I'm around, because it's like I pick up on things that they're saying because I'm listening to them all the time. So just certain things, I don't need everybody like repeating. We just don't need that. Anywho, thank you for doing this. I've been wanting to record with you forever.
This is exciting. I feel like I'm going to my sensei who's going to interview me now from my podcast. And I am eternally grateful for Ideas to Podcast. I'm on episode 32.
That is wild.
I know. I
feel like we just started yesterday.
Right. I remember. And you know what's funny? We started it so fast. Remember, I came to you and I was like, hey, my birthday is in a couple of weeks. I want to launch a podcast for my birthday. Yeah. You had me on preview, commercial, first 2 episodes done in like a month. And I was like, what the shit? So here we are, episode 32. And I'm just super grateful to you and your leadership and you training me in how to even make my dream come into fruition. And also your team is incredible. Like, thank God for them and the reels that they make for me, because it's clear to me in the production of what y'all do that folks care about the content that I'm making. So if I'm going to spend all this time researching and talking about something, it's clear in what y'all give me back that like,
and that's just that time. It's time and money. Because I tell people this shit ain't cheap. There's so many hours that we put in there. So I think what they get afterwards is the final product like this. Oh, great. We get to hang out with you in the car and at work. And it's like, you have no idea how many hours we spend behind the scenes Well, with you, you have your own pre-production. So you're doing the research, you're finding the guests, you're showing up to record, and then we pull all of that from there. And it's like we're listening, what makes sense, what transitions, coming back to you and saying, hey, maybe you should add this, take away that, and then delivering to you on a timely manner as well.
And sometimes y'all give your own research too, because y'all editing team be going out and finding videos and pictures and clips and stuff I be talking about and throwing it in the commercial. And I was like, oh, they found the right thing. That's what they talking about. So I shout out to your team, dude. Shout out to your team.
Yes. We definitely want to make it interactive and learn. I know that Courtney, who edits all your things, like your audio producer,
Courtney's amazing.
He be learning so much stuff. He's like, yeah, because she just talked about ABC, and I'm like, oh, did she? So he's learning from me. He learns. He also has Abu, who's a marketing guru, and I'm like, we learn business, right? We have all these entrepreneurs and people that are making change in the world. I'm like, that's what we need to be learning from. I mean, celebrity gossip is cool, but
we have enough of it.
We have so much of it. Much of it. And it's like, we're all going to get it from the shade room and certain pods. But at the end of the day, there's other pods that we want to listen to like, grow from. But before we do get started, I wanted to shout out someone, a YouTube review specifically. Shout out to all the haters that are still commenting on a daily basis on YouTube. Thanks for all the money you keep putting in my pocket. I appreciate you. Whether you saying something positive or negative, regardless of the fact, the money gonna come in. So I will always highlight those that come in on a weekly basis and really support the show. And this is Lauren Rico. Is that there's an H, 1539. She says, I came back. LOL. This is after the crazy episode with TK. It says that one episode could never erase all of the other impactful ones. Like, girl, if you ever hear this from anyone else, know that for little old me, you've been a blessing. I love you and I thank you. Keep on keeping on. How, bro?
Thanks, Lauren. 50210. Wasn't it? Thanks.
It's the sweetest thing, because when you think about this show started this big and it's still just like this big, right? It's not like I have the biggest show in the world and it still makes an impact. So I always tell people, if I'm doing the show and I impact one person, that's great. It's been thousands, and at the end, it does a lot more for me, honestly, than it does for them. Although I say, I'm like, I got to record again, but it really does more for me because I can get it out and it's kind of therapeutic. So I get on here, talk about what I got going on, bring on amazing guests that I learned from, that other people can learn from. And then it keeps going. I'm giving, I'm getting. So it's a great relationship we have with listeners. And you probably get the same thing when people are listening.
100%. I get that. I also feel exactly the same as you, as rewarding as it is. And then what's funny about like what you and I both do is that we do it already. Now we just got to set up a time with a microphone and a headphone and a computer to press record and do it. Because otherwise you might have just called me on your own and we've been on the phone together. Like, hey girl, what's going on with this stuff that's happening over here? And what about this show over here? And I do that with my guests that I bring on to How We Get Free. It's like, I already talked to you guys, but I feel like now what we can do is document history, talk about our stories, educate people who are not in our spaces, in our circles, and also document it. My big thing is also like documenting it for the future so that we have it on record, how we thought about certain things and what we talked about and what we were learning in the moment. Just like a journal.
It's just like a journal. Like just back like then they used to write it on,
because I don't have to write.
Right. They used to have it in stones back in the day, and we have it in audio and video form. So I love that. Me too. So because I do radio, I sometimes have some stories that I run into. I'm like, this is funny. And I have one that it was a doctor pulling a Houdini in the middle of surgery. So there was a doctor in India. I thought this was hilarious. I'm like, have you ever walked out of a job? And that's when this comes in, because there's a doctor in India. He is now facing medical negligence for this. So he walked out of an operation midway because he wasn't served tea. So he was in his operation or whatever, and he wanted tea. So he asked one of the nurses or someone to bring them a cup of tea. The staff did not bring him his tea, and he decided to leave. He was like, this patient's going to stay on the bed. He has still another 4 surgeries to go. He had 8 for that day, and he bounced. The hospital was able to find another person to take over. But what happened to this doctor? Now, I got this audio, and I haven't listened to it, so I want to listen to it with you. From breaking someone who audio. I think like left. Let's see how long this audio is. Okay, about 30 seconds. Let me see what this is.
I understand the social media trends, because that's what it is, with quietly leaving your job. I understand the frustration. I understand why people are mad. I do. I have not lived my life that way. Every job I have had, I have disagreed with something about the leadership or the way that job worked. And I had to make decisions about when I decided I was going to leave and when I decided I was going to stay and fight and wrestle it through. As a young Black woman, those choices come up every day. Okay. Every day I want to quit. And every day I'm like, okay, I'm not going to quit.
So there's this host of this podcast, How We Get Free. And she said, she don't leave nowhere quietly. She makes a bang like this doctor in India. She said, oh, y'all done served me my goddamn tea. What happened? Tell me, give me one instance where you up and left.
First of all, I was so bought in on this doctor in India. He went to go get some tea. That was so good.
He was pissed off. He was like, y'all didn't give me what I asked for. I need my tea while I'm doing surgeries. I'm gone. Those were his requirements to perform surgery. So have you had some requirements at work that decided for you to just up and leave the surgery?
I'm gonna tell that was hilarious what you just did. That was hilarious. I can't believe you just did that. That was a good one. I heard the voice and I was like, that don't sound like a doctor. That sound like me. What are you talking about? Here's what I didn't get in trouble. But I got looked at crazy for saying this one time, and I'm gonna say it again. This is what I said. Okay. I don't like working for people who I think I'm smarter than. And I think there's a lot of people like that no matter where you work. It's like if you feel like you might have the vision and competence and skill set to perform big organizing, and there are people above you, hierarchical, people above you who either don't agree with your values, don't agree with your vision, don't agree with the strategy to get it done, whatever those things might be, I'm out. Like, I don't want to be in confusion. There's a lot of privilege that comes along with that because a lot of people can't leave their job. They have to stick at their job and what they're doing, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I have been blessed in my career journey to be director or executive director or president or program manager or
president and directors.
I check the resume. Yeah.
It's long and it got big words in it, big positions.
Don't have me tooting my. No, I'm very humble,
toot,
Carla. Stop
toot.
it. So,
you toot sometimes.
I'm very humble. So I just feel like, my frustration had gotten to a point where I didn't understand the bigger cause anymore. So sometimes I can say,
that makes sense.
Okay, I'm frustrated, but I got to stick this through because we have to be successful. It's bigger than me.
Right.
And then there are some times where I'm like, you know what? Y'all don't need me. And this is not helpful for me anymore. And I'm going to quietly exit, like that Homer Simpson meme when he's backing into the bushes.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's my favorite one.
I love that meme. I'm going to back up into the bushes and I'm going to remove myself. Now, here's something very important though, because again, the titles that I had, every job that I have left, I've always made sure that there was somebody who could do the work after me.
Okay.
Every time. I've never left a job and then dropped the work. Like, I'm never like, if y'all not going to do it my way, I'm not going to stay and I'm out and then the whole thing falls. I've never done that. I've always been like, you know what? I don't agree with this strategy. I don't agree with y'all. This is not where I need to be. I'm going to remove myself. And here are the other 2 people who are qualified and ready to step up and do the work.
Right.
And
that's nice of you.
Yeah, because it is bigger than me. And the work must go on. But it just ain't got to go on with me. So I'm out. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember the only one that I left loud was Build-A-Bear. I was 18.
You left
Build-A-Bear I cussed loud? That white lady out. I was about to fight her.
Build-A-Bear?
She kept fucking with me. Okay. I was 16 when I was working there, and I worked there till right after I had my daughter. And this white lady kept messing with me. That's the only one I can remember. I remember in the middle of like all these kids.
White folks. That makes you want to leave immediately.
Listen, I come from accounting, and I've always been, in accounting, I was always the one of the only people of color there. It would be like me and a Black girl, or like really not really any men, because it was mostly women, all white women, some Asian women, and then me. And they'd be like, what are you doing here? And then I'm loud.
What are you
it
doing
wasn't
here?
really for me. But this one, there's been two, one in accounting that almost got her ass beat. But this one, I significantly remember because it's a kid's place. They're filling up they're building up air. And she said something to me, and I just remember just screaming and cussing her out, and like, I'm out, getting out of here. Asked me to clean out one more goddamn bathroom. I'm here to put hearts inside the bears. Leave me alone. But I was also like I said, 18, hothead.
No bears were harmed in the making of this, Anya. Poor bears.
Maybe one of the little puppies, but that's it. Yeah, but
sometimes you gotta leave.
No, and I also, going back to, sometimes, a lot of times you have to leave. And we stay sometimes in jobs and in careers that no longer fulfill us. And I think that we have to be a lot more strategic and plan a little bit better as to what is our exit strategy. Yes. How am I leaving? And like you said, we all don't have the privilege to just up and leave, but we all do have the opportunity, and we all can research on where to go.
And what's we have best the responsibility to still take care of ourselves. Like I didn't quit a job and not have another job to go to. I didn't quit a job and not know where my next check to pay my rent was going to come from.
I did.
Like it was very
I did. I took a chance with this podcasting thing. I left. I had a year's worth of saving, but I didn't know what was going to come in.
This is a great case study because you left and you were like, I'm taking a chance on the dream of podcasting. And I left and I was like, I got another job. I did take a risk during the pandemic. This was actually really transformational for me. I took a risk during the pandemic when I quit the job and I said, you know what? My best friend, Karan Blair, shout out to Karan Blair. He said to me, why don't you just, I don't know why he said this, because this is actually the opposite of completely who he is. He was like, why don't you just pack up all your stuff, put it in storage, get in a suitcase and travel the world? And I was like, why the hell would I do that? No, it's a pandemic. And literally, I lied to you not, Carla. 2 weeks later, all my shit was in storage. I had signed I was getting my refund check or my deposit back from my apartment, and I was on my way to Oaxaca. And
where the hell where is that? Oh, Mexico?
Yeah, Mexico, Oaxaca, Mexico. Okay. So I went to Oaxaca, Mexico. I went to LA for a year.
Mexico was wide
the country. Open. Mexico's wide open. Nobody cared. You know what's funny? Actually, the whole world was wide open, but people were inside. So traveling and things were really quiet. Like, you had to wear the mask. It was fantastic. Things were cheaper because nobody was really traveling. They were trying to get people to travel. And whenever I traveled somewhere, like I went to like Jamaica, white folks everywhere. And I was like, oh, y'all know the secret. Y'all out here traveling for real while the rest of us is scared in the house. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be scared in the house because COVID is real. But I was like, oh, I'm single. I didn't live with nobody. I didn't have no man. I have no kids. I have no dog. Life has changed now. Travel the world. I went to Dubai. I was in Dubai for a month. I went to Amsterdam. Love Dubai. Abu Dhabi. Love Dubai.
Did you know someone there?
No, I knew no fucking body. And you want to know why I went to Dubai? I'll tell you exactly what happened. I was in Oaxaca and I was like, well, I don't have to go home. Where am I going to go? And I was on Google Maps, Google Flights. There's a map on Google Flights. If you click on the map, if you just select the city you're leaving from and pick a date, it'll tell you how much a ticket costs to get to a location across the whole world. So I looked one. And I saw, I like zoomed in to, over there. And I was like, oh, it's $250 to get to Dubai from Mexico.
Book now.
I guess I'm going to Dubai. So I had a layover in Miami. Shout out to Phil Agnew. I landed in Miami. Phil came and got me. I kicked it with him for a day. And then he took me to the airport again. And I flew my black ass to Dubai.
And where did you stay?
A hotel. And I balled out. I spent money on a hotel because I'm by myself and I wanted to feel really safe. So I got a really nice hotel that I thought was like really popular. Like, a lot of people would be there.
Right.
And I got a balcony and I ended up going skydiving. Play the video right there. And then, because I know they're going to edit this afterwards, drop the clip. And I went skydiving. I was there for a month. And
that's amazing.
I worked remote and I was in Amsterdam. I went to.
So throughout all of this, you still had a job. You were just going wherever working remote.
Yeah. I was up at 2:00 in the damn morning working East Coast time, 7 a.m.
I wish more people would do this. And I love that your friend did that because bringing it back, it was my therapist in 2019 who told me, hey, why don't you, after I quit my job, why don't you go to New York? Every time you go to New York and you come back depressed. because I really loved and I wanted to do more in the podcasting space. So I would go to New York, come back, hated it here. So she's like, why don't you pack up and leave and go up there for the whole summer? My daughter was 14. I had never left her anywhere. I sent her to her dad for the first time. I said, you got to go. You're old enough. Scream, holler, something's wrong. And I left for 3 months, rented a room from Mandy in the Bronx. BK, now that I think about it, a little scary, but it's cool. We were fine. Family in the Bronx, we're fine. And that is a summer that really revolutionized everything for me. And then COVID hit just a couple months later. So also the trip that got me.
Wait, so did you get stuck in New York?
No. I came back in August because my daughter had to start school, and then everything shut down in March. So it was just enough time. I fell in love over there. My life went to shambles afterwards, but it's fine. I had a kid. But everything happened for a reason, right? But it was all someone telling me, why don't you pack up and leave? And you're thinking, like, I can't leave my life.
Why do we do that? Why do we do that?
And I literally I have a 3-bedroom house. I put everything into one room. I Airbnb'd it as a 2-2. So I was getting income from here. I already didn't have a job. So I had some of my savings left. And I'm like, well, I just got to go and spend this money over there and really kick down doors. And it changed my life. It literally changed my life in so many different ways. But a lot of us, even with kids, we're like, oh, we can't do it. Sometimes there's just something you can do. There is something you can do. But when I talked about what you do, organizing change, I really want you to kind of like give us a overview of what goes into organizing and organizing big, because she don't do nothing little. She do big, big Tiffany Dean Loftin. So what do you do?
I am a community organizer so I'll explain it, but I'm a community organizer that organizes in education, labor, and racial justice.
Okay.
What that means is I work in communities. So I lived in DC for 12 years. You would think that, oh, she's an organizer. She's probably always talking to elected officials. No, I'm not always talking to elected officials. My main job is to talk to people, real human beings on the ground in the communities, and help them create strategies to take actions that improve their lives.
Okay, now examples.
Examples like I was called to Oklahoma City in Oklahoma to support with a national strategy stopping the execution for a man named Julius Jones, who had been on death row for over 12 years. Actually, November 12th, the week of November 12th, is the 1-year anniversary or commemoration of them not executing Julius Jones. 2-year anniversary of them.
That was 2 days ago.
Julius Jones. I know. And he's still in prison, but they didn't execute him. Thank God.
What is he in prison for?
He wasn't even at the scene of the crime. Somebody died and was killed, and he wasn't even at the scene of the crime. And the person who has done it has come out publicly on social media and confessed that they did it. There is a board of appointees that the governor selects. They're not elected by the people. We elect the governor, and then the governor picks a group of people. It's the Pardon and Parole Board. They voted 2 times, 2 separate days, 2 separate occasions. They voted 2 times to release this man and let him go home. And the governor said, nope.
Why?
Because we have to ask Governor Kevin Stitt, and he's the governor of Oklahoma. But what I think he's saying no to is the person who was killed. It was a father. He was a husband. The family of that man, they want justice. And although they don't know what justice, as anybody would, and although they don't really know what justice looks like, they don't know what closure looks like. They've also been reliving this trauma for the last 12 years because he keeps going through court cases and et cetera. That the governor wanted to feel accountable to his white counterpart, to his white constituents, and didn't really care about this Black man. And I say that because he met with the family of the victim who was killed. But when the family of Julius Jones got to his office to meet with him on more than one occasion, the governor refused to meet with them.
Shut up.
And so for me, Kevin Stitt, Oklahoma governor, he's up for election 2024. And I just want to make sure people know, So Kevin Stitt.
If you live in Oklahoma.
If you live in Oklahoma, 2024, I'm talking to you. And there are people running against him who have actually said that they will release Julius Jones. So like, this is a really big issue in Oklahoma. Wow. It's a really big issue globally. People know Julius's name. And he refused to meet with the family. And I just said to myself multiple times, like, why are you meeting with white folks when you're not meeting with black folks? But they're all your residents of Oklahoma and they're all voters. So that's one example. What I also do is when I, for the last 14, 13 years, I encourage people to register to vote. And I encourage them after they register to vote to look up and educate themselves on the choices that they have on the ballot. And then I encourage them to get out the vote, which means go cast your ballot on election day. And I support people in the process to do that. It's
confusing, man. And I always go literally because it's like researching all these parties and every time, especially local elections, because it's like, what do you do? And politicians are like the worst salespeople. You know, it's like they don't brand themselves very well. They really be beating around the bush. And then we're so scarred by the fact that a lot of them just lie. They promise us one thing and they don't do it. So I always go vote.
That's why it's so election. I mean, excuse me. That's why it's so important. That's why it's so election. That's why it's so important. Because these raggedy people are the ones who are making all of the most important choices and decisions in our communities, over our states, over Julius Jones, over what's happening in Palestine right now. These are elected officials making these choices. So they might not market themselves good. They might be raggedy. They lie. We got to elect better people.
Right. And I'll be transparent about the fact that I vote towards my interest, of course. So when we have local stuff here, I see the Board of Education and I'll look up to see who it is because can't believe I'm doing this shit again. She didn't graduate. I got to do it again soon. Oh, Jesus. But my son's going to go to school, right? So I need to know who is the head of the school board? Like who is the police chief here? You know, there are different things that I'll look up, but there's other things that I don't know what it is and I Christmas tree it. There's other little things that I'm like, I don't know I don't know, but I try to do some type of research and then there's like 15 other lines. And I'm like, what do these niggas do?
Wait, what does it mean? I'm a Christmas tree it. What is that?
You know, when it's like the ballot and you just choose different ones.
That's a Christmas tree?
Well, when you have in a standardized test, you know, it's like A, B, C, and you have to color it in. I just kind of go to the right and to the left, and it makes it looks like
you draw a tree.
We're going to take a break from the episode because our friends at Frito-Lay know that joy is bold, vivacious, and contagious. Joy gives life flavor, rhythm, and vibes. And when joy takes flight, it can't be contained. It's robust, more than a smile or a laugh. It's an infectious experience. So here's to all the creators that inspire us with your creativity and passion. Let's keep filling the world with joy. And make sure you look out for My Joy campaign, powered by Frito-Lay. Let's get back to the show. You fill in the bubble, you make shapes out of it, make a little tree.
I thought that was a strategy I was about to teach my students. I said, we can Christmas tree.
Don't teach them that.
No, I'm not. That's not a good one.
Don't teach that one.
I thought it was something else.
No. And then,
the holidays is coming up.
Right. But okay. So aside from that, I love that you do that. And I always think, I always go to, there's this website that you can go locally and it gives you an entire breakdown of everyone, like the ballot. It shows you the ballot, who they are, and like what they believe in. But for you, you're like, hey, they call me about Julius Jones. Well, how they got your number? Mm-hmm. Like off Instagram? Like, how did they know to call? Why didn't they call me? I would have fought for Julius. Why didn't they call me?
You know how they do it?
I go to Oklahoma.
They do it for a few reasons. I mean, they get your phone number for a few reasons. You signed up for something to support somebody somewhere. You might have registered to vote and the state is hitting you up for certain things. If you register to vote with a certain party, then political candidates in that party can purchase your information and then they can send you, they do it all the time. They purchase your information. I know this because I work at national organizations that literally buy list of phone numbers and buy list of emails, but they do it targeted. So they're not asking for for like a random list of phone numbers. They'll say, hey, there's this county race happening in Dade County, and we need to get voters who are people who haven't voted before or people who are less likely to vote in a midterm election. Everybody comes during presidential, but most of those people don't show up during midterm. So we'll say we need the people who don't really vote during the midterm or haven't voted in the past. Can you give us their phone numbers? And then they'll just cut the list, send it to us, and we'll hit you up.
I get the healthcare ones and the ones, let me buy your house. No, leave me alone.
I'm not a for-profit. I don't know how they do that.
Oh, so annoying. So annoying. So
I get those too, and I just delete them.
So you being in the space for so long, and now, you know, your name is in different places, then they know you, and that's how they get your number now to go fight for like Delta flight attendants right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Now, you're doing this in the back end, right? And part of the reason why you wanted to launch How We Get Free is because people are out there like, yo, how do I become a part of this? Like, I would never know where to even begin to say I care. I don't think it's for me to be out there just like fighting for the people, but for me, I'm like, I want to empower those that do. How can I help you do the best? Because that's your passion, right? For me to do it, it wouldn't be a passion, so I probably wouldn't be the best. But there are other people that are passionate about that. So how do they get into it? I know that's what you talk about basically on a weekly basis with How We Get Free. But how does one say, hey, I want to organize and I want to be a part of the bigger picture? Where they go? Is there a Google sheet? Like, where do they go?
There's always a Google sheet. Two things. One, everybody is passionate about something. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm an organizer, because my job is to find out what people are passionate about. If I came to you, you probably really care about school shootings in Florida. There's the whole fight that's happening right now. You got a kid that's in school. The parents are walking around like, why are the teachers carrying guns? It's a whole thing going on. Families and parents would be passionate about making sure that their kids are safe at school. They might not care what's happening to Julius in Oklahoma, but they are going to care about the safety of their kids on campus. My job is to make sure that we find out what people are passionate about. And then once I find out what they're passionate about, I see what risk they're willing to take to address what they're passionate about.
Okay.
So everybody might not give a damn about voting. That's just, my uncle doesn't give a damn. He really don't. He don't vote. He ain't voted in like 12 years. I don't know. Every time I talk to him, he's like, we're not voting.
His niece and you don't want to vote.
He has no idea who I think I am. He's like, baby, I don't care. I'm not voting. And I was like, Uncle John, you're embarrassing me.
I'll take you there.
Yeah, no, he doesn't even leave the house. No, it's not going to happen. So Uncle John,
I gave up on that one a long time ago.
I gave up a long time ago. Uncle John's not going to vote. And maybe it's good that he doesn't right at this point. I don't know. and so we don't need his vote. And there are people who care passionately about minimum wage increases across the country. They're like, I want to make sure that this $7.25 that I'm getting an hour turns into $24 an hour, because that'll change my life. Right? People care right now about what's happening in Palestine. Folks care about LGBTQ, SGAIL marriage. People care about all kinds of things, but they might not care for other people's issues, but they'll care. Right. People have their own shit that they're passionate about. So the way that they would take action on getting involved in that passion, because we all have passions, is to not do it alone. And that's the biggest tip that I can give people. We have to find organizations, advocacy groups, online spaces, which are most popular now, churches, faith groups, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever it is, guy friends, that want to take action on something together. There are millions of people right now in the streets marching for Palestine to demand a ceasefire. Those all million of them people ain't Palestinian.
Right.
But they're out there marching.
Regular
right?
folk.
Regular people. You've got folks who over the last 5 years were marching for Black Lives Matter, and a lot of them wasn't Black. Right. And most of them didn't know anybody who had been shot and killed by a police officer. Not personally, right? But we get out and we take action. Not doing it alone and joining an organization, we call them political homes. Joining a political home helps people understand what kind of action they can take to solve a certain issue, to fix something in the community. It's easy for you to call your city council member and say, hey, the stoplight at my corner at my house is not working anymore. And they're gonna be like, oh, okay, cool, we'll send somebody out to fix it. But if everybody on the block calls their city council member and says, yo, that street light not working, it'll be fixed tomorrow morning. Right.
So how do you find that home, that political home?
You there's a million ways. It's so easy to do that. Start with names that you think you already know. Most of us have heard of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
If I care about advocacy work for women's reproductive issues, I'm going to go to Planned Parenthood's website and I'm going to try to find how Planned Parenthood works. There is a Planned Parenthood in every state across the country, and every city has a Planned Parenthood. But they don't just have the clinic, they have the organization that does advocacy to protect women's rights. So I'm going to join the organization. I'm going to sign up for their email. The easiest thing that people can do is go on the Planned Parenthood website and sign up for their email listserv. So I can stay informed about what's happening and what fights they're happening. I get those emails all the time of what elected officials are now trying to smash women's rights, women's reproductive choice. Ridiculous. We just saw on last Tuesday on the 7th, Ohio just passed legislation to indoctrinate women's right to choose in their constitution, which means that anybody who comes up in Ohio can't change a woman's right to choose. It is going to be in their constitution now. They made an amendment because voters voted for it. Yeah, I found that out only because I'm on the email listserv for Planned Parenthood. If people care about what's happening with Black Lives Matter, we have 2 Black Lives Matter organizations. Sign up for their email listserv, find out what's going on in the organization. Find out what they're working on. Find out where they're meeting.
What about like school stuff? Like you said earlier, the school stuff.
There's a bunch of stuff. There's Planned Parenthood. There's student parent teacher groups that happen on campus. They have email listservs. Teachers unions. So your unions and your schools for the teachers, they have email listservs. They have organizations that they belong to. There are hundreds of student groups that exist. There's a Florida Student Association that is the organization for all of the students in the state of California. Sign up for their listserv. They're going to be meeting all over the place. And a lot of these states have these. You just got to look for them. And sometimes you'll run into, depending on where you live, the organization not really being active or not really doing anything, or maybe there isn't one that exists. And that's where we need people to step up and build it and create it.
Now, they don't have like a Craigslist like for it where you can just go and who's going to create that? You?
I don't have the digital capacity or capabilities or skill set to do that. But you know what I wish we did have? I wish we had one place to go where we could get all the information about our elected officials, and we don't have that either. And that's done on purpose, is to confuse voters. There is not one place you can go and say, well, I want to know who's running for Senate in Colorado. You have to go look on Ballotpedia and you got to go find the thing. And it's really confusing. And if you don't know the person's name, you can't get to their website and you might not get accurate information. Your newspaper, I know that people don't read the newspaper. I do. I have the apps on my phone. LA Times, CNN, MSNBC, Roland Martin, Unfiltered, et cetera, et cetera. I have these news stations on my phone who tell me about organizations or advocacy groups that are doing work all the time. The actors just had a huge strike in Los Angeles. It's not because it's over now, thank God. It's not because individual people were like, we're going to go out and strike at the same time and we're going to create a WhatsApp. It's because they have a union, and that organization has paid staff. Let me also say this.
Where
this is not just about membership dues.
Okay. So to be part of this group to organize, everybody pays to be in it?
If you're a worker for a union, all the workers pay membership dues. I don't know how much they are all the time. It's different depending on where you work. But they'll pay membership dues every month. It comes out of their paycheck automatically, and it funds the organization that does the work for them.
Okay.
Planned Parenthood is mostly donations. That's how Planned Parenthood works. Who else? NAACP, they fundraise money, but they also do a lot of donations. Most people donate to the NAACP. It's a list.
I do. Okay. There's so many. And you just said, it was something that stuck out to me. Like you read the newspaper all the time. Years ago, I had to stop. I used to wake up every morning and open up the news channel and every night. And that caused really bad anxiety. So that's just a perfect segue for me to ask you, how do you separate what you do from who you are? Because for me, that is tough. Like my thing is, how do you separate what you do from what you are? Because reading the news, and it just seems like everything you do, none of it is like this jolly, positive party. Everything is like something's going wrong. We want to fix it. So it's like wrong, wrong, wrong. You'll get a win here and there, but it's constant negativity of what's going on in our world. So how do you separate that? Where do you just like take a break?
I take breaks all the time. I go on vacation. And I'll be butt naked on the beach in a swimsuit drinking a pina colada. But I
love that.
I will say this. I actually don't. I started this work because somebody hung a noose on my door in college.
Mm.
And I will tell you then, even though I was very scared and very fearful and very angry, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is really annoying. I don't actually look at the work that I do as negative all the time. Okay. There's a lot that is wrong that is happening in the world that is human created. Emphasis on the human created.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's wrong that's human created. And I don't look at it as negative. It actually does the opposite to me. It fuels me and pisses me off to the point where I feel like I have to do something about it, and I want to figure out how to do something about it. And
can we go back to that news? Did you know who it was? How did you feel? Like what did that bring to you?
I was a first year in college at an all-white university.
Jesus.
And I was running for student body president at the time. And somebody hung a noose on campus. Ironically, while I was in Sacramento with an organization called the University of California Student Association, lobbying or fighting
you've been fighting for people out here. You probably were president in high school too.
Yeah, no, I was, and I was prom queen. I was prom queen, and I had no date, couldn't find one, so fuck all of them. But anyway, I was in Sacramento fighting for a tuition freeze because the regents, the people who run our school, rose our tuition 36%.
Jesus.
Hey, Red, what are you up to?
Just making sure all the M&M's gifts are wrapped and the bowls filled.
Remember that one holiday party when we had no M&Ms?
Oh boy, I still have nightmares.
The cookies?
Yeah, you used all the M&M's candies that were meant to decorate the party treats, to decorate snowmen. You did it again, didn't you?
They do look cute, though.
Bringing cheer. M&M's for all fun kind.
So, like, here's my thing. Ready? You asked me, like, oh, okay, I'll get back to the news in a second. But you told me, like, oh, well, people get mad. And I see this all the time. People are like, my closest friend in the whole entire world, my sister Andrea, I said to her the other day, do you know what's happening with the Palestine stuff? And she said, no, I don't really like to put negativity into my spirit and into my mind. And I was like, Andrea, whether you decide to participate in it is one thing, but it's happening regardless of whether you want to see it or not. And it's not okay what's happening. So are you going to ignore it, or are you at least going to understand what's happening so that you can make educated decisions in the future? Right? Yeah. And so when I think about the noose, it's like, I don't know who did it. I was advocating for everybody, not just Black people, but I was fighting for everybody at the time. And somebody who I suppose wasn't Black did this hate crime on campus. And the school did nothing, Carla. They didn't put out a statement. They didn't do an investigation. They didn't do a police report. They did nothing. They did nothing. And I was like, oh, okay, you're going to do nothing when we feel unsafe and I'm paying to go here?
No 36% higher?
36% higher? No problem. I organized a week of action. We had a march on campus. All the Black people wore duct tape across their face that said, I am not a nigga. Pull the clip because it's right there. It's on Google. And we had Dr. Cornel West come to campus to talk about race relations, who's now running for president, to talk about race relations between young people and on campus. We invited one of the Little Rock 9 to be our graduation speakers for Black Grad. And we just did a bunch of programming and a bunch of events. And we were fighting for Black housing, ethnic studies, and students to have a decision in what happens to Black life on campus. And we won all three of those demands. We have black housing at UC Santa Cruz right now, and one of the dorm rooms is named after me because of the work that we did on campus and what we were doing.
Oh my God, one day they're going to put a statue of you.
I hope it's cute. And so, and so I just think about all of that. But, you know, a lot of my work is also rooted in, like, I'm not the first person to be fighting for all this stuff. People have been fighting for this stuff before us. And I'm reading this book right now, I Must Resist, Bayard Rustin's Life and Letters. And in the beginning of the book, he says, in the spirit of, he says, I think we can look at what's happening in injustice and deal with it in 4 different ways. The first option we have to deal with injustice is to accept it without protest. So police officers come into your homegirl house, shoot everybody up. You could be like, damn, that's fucked up, but I'm not going to do nothing.
Right.
That's the first option you have. The second option you have is you can try to avoid it. You can pretend like you didn't even know the girl no more. You can pretend like the police officers didn't even do that. That's your option. People have that option. The third option is you can resist the injustice nonviolently. So you can have marches, you can sign petitions, you can donate money, you can say we're going to fundraise money for the funeral, you can do all of those things. Or number 4, which we have seen a lot of in the last few years, you can resist with violence. People are saying enough is enough. I'm not doing this shit no more. Signing a petition and posting on social media is not what's going to save the world and stop injustice.
That's the Malcolm X way.
That's it. The Malcolm X way. And people have, and it's also the Nelson Mandela way, but that's a longer conversation. People have those 4 options. And I just choose to not sit by and watch violence and injustice happening across the world. Yes, it does make me mad. Yes. Like, for example, I had nightmares for months working on the Julius Jones campaign because of how much I learned about the death penalty.
Right.
It's so
scary.
Is emotionally and mentally depressing, like the trauma. But then I say to myself, what I'm going through can't be more traumatic than what Julius is going through. He's the one on death row.
Right.
And I'm not going to let them kill him. So I have to do something about it. And I'll take my vacation. I'll go to the beach and I'll kick it with my dog and I'll get a boba, but I got to fight.
And one thing about it all, for people that don't know, they think that this is free work and you get paid well to do so.
Yeah.
So it's like the organizations are there, the opportunities are there. You just have to go and find them. And if you are passionate about fighting for whatever it is, that there's a million things to be passionate about, find an organization that you can get a position and you can get paid to actually do it.
You ain't even got to find an organization. You don't have to find an organization. At the top of my link in my bio on Instagram, I have a listserv. It's a Google form. It's super ghetto, but it's what I've been doing since 2006. And if you are only a person of color, sorry, white folks, not sorry. If you're a person of color, put your name, your first and last name, your email, and how you identify. And every month I send out jobs from organizations that are hiring all day long.
Shut up. We're gonna
I want people in the movement to get jobs. So I will just send emails, and like literally the list is over 7,000 people long across the whole entire country.
List, right?
I could, but I won't. But I could.
Do you send your episodes to that list?
No.
Why?
Well, you just got finished telling me earlier it was annoying to get text messages. I didn't want to send people my podcast and they signing up for a job. I didn't know.
Well, no, it's like, here's jobs, but there's certain episodes that they're all want to do some. It makes sense. It's connected. They're both connected.
They all want to do movement
work. So it's like, how we get free has to do with this. So it's like, hey, I have these job listings. I also have this podcast episode that you guys can listen to on how to whatever, how to get free.
I should do both. You're right. This is why you're my sensei. Yes, exactly.
Yep. The number's about to go up. No, we're really doing it. You did speak. This is just a short part of it. You said that you had all this because of the death penalty. How do you personally feel about Kim Kardashian and the light she's bringing to people that are on death row and stuff like that?
She stepped in a major way with helping with Julius Jones. So did a lot of other celebrities. Viola Davis did. A lot of people. Vic Mensa did a whole song with Julius in it. Like it was a big thing. I love that she will use her platform to step up in major ways. And I was actually working with Sean King, who made the connection to Kim Kardashian to help her get involved in that case. Here's what I will say. Personally, my politic around celebrities getting involved in social justice work and even election work is complicated. It's important. I think the role of celebrities is to bring light to issues, but celebrities on their own can't solve these problems. Like Governor Kevin Stitt didn't even know who Kim Kardashian was. She's just pretty. So like, I'm really happy she was there and doing that work. I'm really happy that celebrities donate and I want them to continue to do that. But I don't want people to feel like their case, this is what happens. I'm not saying this is about Kim Kardashian. What happens is sometimes we have a bunch of issues or cases or campaigns and no celebrities talk about them at all. And they're just as important. So our reaction, you and me, our reaction should be, we're going to pay attention to the issues that we are passionate about, regardless of whether or not a celebrity comes to the table or not.
I didn't know how you guys felt from the inside, about celebrities doing it. I also know that if it wasn't for certain celebrities being a part of it, a lot of us wouldn't know and they wouldn't get the traction 100%. That they do. So yeah, they probably can't touch every single case that is just as important and impactful, but at least it starts bringing awareness to it. So I know there's so many people that are like, they hate Kim Kardashian. My co-host on the radio is one on. He'd be like, he talks so much. I'd be like, you was a little Kardashian hater. Leave him alone. But at the end of the day, it's like, we love her or hate her. She's bringing so much attention to all these injustices at the end of the day. So I love that she's doing that. And they're like, oh, but she's white. She damn if she do, damn if she don't. You know, and the same 100%. Thing with so many other celebrities. It's like, yeah, they're the face of it. They're the ones bringing attention. And then there's you on the back end who people know, but might not know, like they know Kim, you know, doing the work that will actually make a difference. And then other attorneys are like, oh, she's not even an attorney. Shut up. There's plenty of attorneys working on it. She is bringing so much more attention and making noise so these people will actually listen. You know, the ones that are in charge.
What do we do and how do we get folks to pay attention when there isn't a celebrity that's there? And one of the things that folks did over the pandemic was Justin Timberlake, and it's still up there actually. Justin Timberlake let me go on his Instagram. Like, he gave me his login. I went on his Instagram and I got to give a spiel about Black Lives Matter and what was happening and why elections were so important when I worked at the NAACP. There is also a beautiful ballet dancer who also opened up his Instagram, and he had like 6 million followers or something like that.
Wow.
And he opened up his Instagram. They did this for a lot of Black folks. They like literally was like, I am the celebrity, but it's not about my voice. I want to give my platform to people who are doing the work. So they opened up their platforms for us to use their space and talk to their audience. And I want us to get to a place where we're not so squirrel about where celebrities are and what celebrities are doing, and that our culture and the improvement of our communities aren't so much around the celebrities, but more about the passion of the issue that we are focusing on. Because celebrities do what they want personally.
Is that even possible? We are so obsessed
I think so.
With celebrity culture.
I think so. I think it's absolutely possible. I think that when the problem is big enough, people don't give a fuck who the celebrity is. Like right now, DJ Khaled is Palestinian. He hasn't said anything about Palestine, but that doesn't stop millions of people from going to the street. DJ Khaled is Palestinian. 100%.
I had no idea. Okay, so can you give me a quick rundown? Because like your sister, I'll again admit, I don't watch. From years ago when I stopped reading the news in the morning and the anxiety that it caused me, I can't do the Palestine. I feel like when I watch this, even the cop shootings, I can't watch them. I really can't. I have nightmares. It really fucks with me. So watching babies, especially right now, knowing I have a toddler right here, oh my God, like when I was pregnant, anything that had to do with miscarriages and stuff like that, I couldn't watch because it really fucks with me. So watching these kids, I'm like, this is too much for me. And I just don't know what's going on because I keep hearing, oh, Palestine this and Israel this and this one. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Just like, I know it's not simple, it's complicated, but like, how can I understand it?
It's actually not complicated. A lot of people say it's complicated. I'm about to make it real simple for everybody. But I will say, people who are organizers, we don't expect nobody else or even ourselves to sit in front of a TV with tape on your eyes and watch violence all day, because that doesn't solve the issue. So I just want you to know that it's okay to not watch this shit. It's not normal. It's not okay. It's not all right. It's dangerous. It's violent. It's painful. So I'm not telling you you'll be a better organizer if you watch a police officer blow somebody up. Like, no, that's not what this is. Right. Everybody does have to have a awareness of what is happening and what's going on, because it directly is connected to America. And if we are voting next year, which you said you're voting, then these things will impact some of the choices that you make on the ballot, right? So let me explain what is happening right now. So in 1947, there was this piece of land called Palestine. Jesus was a Palestinian. He went around Palestine. He's a brown brother with wool hair. Jews went through the Holocaust somewhere else. Not in Palestine, not in Israel. Israel didn't exist. They went through the Holocaust. We pray for people who are victims and survivors of the Holocaust. After the Holocaust, which was so brutal, happened, those Jewish people said, we're never going to let y'all fuck with us ever like that again. I'm paraphrasing. We're going to go make we're going to go make our own safe space. And they turned that safe space into a state. And they said, where are we going to plant ourselves? And somebody in the room probably said, let's go to the original place where Jesus was. So they did. And they went to Palestine. They went to Jerusalem. They went and I've been to Palestine 3 times. So in Palestine, a lot of people are tourists. They go to literally touch the rock that Jesus was crucified on. They literally go touch the rock where Jesus wept or Mary wept. They usually go touch the whatever. They take tours of Jesus's carrying the cross down Damascus. They do all of that. So the Jews said, we're going to go over there and we're going to take over. We're going to make our new state here. But there were people already living there. So they created a government, the Jews, and the government of Israel became a thing. And they said, if you are not Jewish, we want a Jews only state. If you're not Jewish, you can't be here. So they pushed the brown people out, and it's been getting violent for the last 76 years. What we have now is some of those brown people, Palestinians, have been pushed into what is called an open air prison. You have heard of Donald Trump saying he wanted to build a wall, and he did, between America and Mexico. He got the idea from Israel. Israel built a bunch of concrete walls around Palestine, what is known Palestine, to segregate literally by race, by religion and color, Jews from Palestinians. And Palestinians are not only Muslims, they're Christians, they're all the things, they're atheists, but Palestinians and these Jewish folks who said, we're going to have a Jews only state. And what they have done is they've pushed some 2.2 million Palestinians into this piece of strip of land on the far west side of Israel, Palestine, and put a giant concrete wall around it. You can't leave the wall or come into the wall without proper paperwork. There's an actual checkpoint that you have to, it's like
Mexico.
Like Mexico. But it's not a border. It can't be a border because it's not its own state. It's still in the state. So imagine we're in the United States of America and Joe Biden says he wants to build a wall around Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and to get in and to even get out of it, you have to have special paperwork, but your American passport doesn't work anymore.
And
so you have to get the paperwork from DC, but you can't fucking get to DC because you can't leave the concrete wall. Okay. So for 76 years, these people have been living in what we have called an open air prison. They can't leave and they can't get out unless they have special paperwork and information. Not only that, they don't have their own military, which is why you ain't seen no Palestinians in uniform. They don't have, you've been seeing people. They don't have their own government. They don't have any of their own things. They don't have their own voting, nothing. They can't vote with Israel, none of the things. And they're not a separate country. Remember, they're on the same land as the Jews.
So they're like a city in Israel.
It's a prison in Israel because it's a fence.
Right. Okay.
But it's not a city because the city would have like a mayor. They don't have that. Right. It's just like,
so they're just a prison within Israel. That's called Palestine.
2.2 million people.
Do we know how big it is in like comparison to a city here?
We do, but I don't remember. We do though. You can Google it, but I don't remember how big it is. But it's like, I want to say it's like New York and Massachusetts or some shit like that, but I can't remember. So if you find it right now, let us know. What's the equivalent? It's called the Gaza Strip, Gaza.
Oh, so
say how big is Gaza? So what happens is this: these people, you would imagine that if you put people in a prison and put them under those conditions, that they would be like, I'm not taking this shit no more. Well, that's what's been happening for how big is it?
It could fit inside of Austin, Texas.
Okay, thank you. 2.2 million people.
139 square miles long.
2.2 million people fitting in the size of something that's inside of Austin. Okay.
Less than size. Oh, yeah. Wow.
So here's what happens. They have been rebelling. We don't want to be in this prison no more. This is not how we're supposed to be living, which anybody would do. And Hamas was created. There's debates right now between Hamas being an organization or it being a movement. I have heard both. Either way, Palestinian people decided to break the wall, this giant concrete wall, and allegedly killed 1,200 people and captured 240. Here's why I say allegedly, Carla, because it's very important. Joe Biden has said that he's not sure we can count on how many Palestinians have been killed and use that number for fact. But the Palestinian Authority has released, and the United Nations and the Red Cross, and they have released the list of the 11,000 names of people who have been killed. If you Google right now.
So there's 3 names here. We have Gaza, we have Palestine, and we have Israel.
Yes.
Gaza is inside of Palestine.
Yes.
And Palestine is inside of Israel.
No, Israel landed on top of Palestine.
Okay.
Gaza's in both. But Israel landed on top of Palestine. Gaza's like a city. You just said it's smaller than Austin. It's a piece of the land. It's a place of what something's called.
All right.
We have not seen the list, though, Carla, of the 1,200 people who were killed who are Jewish. This all happened on October 7th. There's no list. We haven't seen the names. We also haven't seen too many interviews of people saying, my loved one was killed or my loved one is being held hostage. You haven't been seeing that on the news.
Of the Jewish people.
Of the Jewish people. We haven't seen it. Not only that, but Israel had first said 1,400 people had been killed. Last week, they came back and said, we got our numbers wrong. It was 1,200. How you go down? If people were killed, the number should go up if you're finding more bodies. You telling us that you misspoke and gave us the wrong number. All that to say, this is the conflict that we are seeing right now. I'm saying conflict, and I'm trying to use my words carefully, because the conflict that we're talking about is Israel saying, we want our hostages back. And they're saying, we want the land. Y'all need to move. Those are the two big parts of this entire conflict. Y'all got to get all 2.2 million and all got to get the fuck up out of here. But here's my problem out of all of this. In the last 34 days, Israel has dropped more than 6,000 bombs on Gaza.
The little teeny tiny strip.
With 2.2 million people. 6,000 bombs. They're all Palestinian, Carla. They're literally killing an entire race of people. And the border of Gaza is on Egypt, which is a different country. Egypt is saying...
I'm looking at the maps now.
Yeah, Egypt is saying, wait a minute, you can't push all these people into Egypt. And these people, this is their home. But most importantly, guess what? The gate's not open. So you are bombing people in a maze with the doors locked. Where are they supposed to go if they're in a gate? And then on top of that, 6,000 bombs, now you're bombing people. You're supposed to go look for the goddamn hostages. Why are you sending 6,000 bombs into Gaza to kill all these people? The only reason why you're doing that is because you don't want them to exist anymore.
So Israel is dropping bombs in Gaza for the Palestinians.
Yes.
The Palestinians are dropping bombs also in Israel?
Palestinians ain't got bombs to be dropping in Israel. They're in a prison.
So why don't... Okay. Makes sense. So
they're
just trying to... they are really essentially trying to extinct an entire race.
They're trying to clear out that whole strip because that strip is on the beach and there's some other economic stuff about passageways and wells and money and stuff like that, but it's on a beach. They want them to be removed. So if you look at the map, you'll see Gaza's on the water, literally on the shore.
Yeah.
Israel wants all that land back. Not back. They want it all they want to take it from them and steal it from them. It wasn't theirs to begin with.
Right. Yikes. Ooh, so how does that even stop? We don't know. It's a war that...
It stops so easy. It stops so... I'm so glad you asked that question because I didn't even say it. It stops so easy, Carla. Right now, the United States is the #1 funder of the Israeli government.
We are?
Our tax dollars go straight to them. This big-ass military budget that we have literally goes straight to them. So our government votes. Joe Biden proposed $160 million to be sent to Israel. We literally have watched activists and organizers put their bodies on these big warships because we have warships from our military sailing weapons over to Israel. The way that this stops is if Joe Biden says, we watch what you're doing. You're breaking international war crimes because you're bombing hospitals and schools and mosques and homes and apartment buildings. If Joe Biden says, y'all stop bombing them people, or you're not getting any money, or you're not getting any weapons, this whole thing stops. This whole thing ceasefire. This whole thing stops. But I have a video on my Instagram. Joe Biden has said, an reporter asked him, is there a possibility for a ceasefire? And Joe Biden said, absolutely not.
Why?
I have no idea. And he's been to Israel, shaking hands and kissing babies with Israel. There's a lot of racism in this, honestly, because these white people versus these brown people is difficult. Like, it's difficult to be like, really? No ceasefire? Are you kidding me? Here's the problem. Here's why we need to care. 88% of Americans support a ceasefire, which means stop bombing them. And not our president doesn't support that. So there's a disconnect right now between our president and the people. And you have watched the biggest march in DC with 300,000 people. I was there November 4th, literally demanding a ceasefire. We just need a ceasefire. That's it. Stop bombing them. Then there's more shit to do. It's not, the solution's not stop bombing them. But what we need you to do right now is that 6,000 babies have been killed.
Jesus. I'm looking at the map and it's like Israel is this big country. Then there's a part of Israel that has Palestine. And then to the bottom, well, kind of to the left, to the west side, is the small strip of Gaza. So all of those Palestinians from Palestine were moved over to Gaza?
Not all of them, no, because it's more than 2.2 million Palestinians. But some of them, yes, 2.2 million of them were moved into Gaza.
And Gaza's the strip that's being bombed. So what's happening in Palestine itself?
So that's called the West Bank.
Yes, I see it. It says West Bank.
West Bank. So that's called the West Bank. I've been to the West Bank 3 times. I've not been to Gaza 3 times. I've been to the West Bank 3 times.
Which is where Jerusalem is.
Which is where Jerusalem is. There are checkpoints in the West Bank there that Palestinians cannot cross. Palestinians also don't have passports because they don't have passports. Like, Israel came and was like, you need to have an Israeli passport, and if you're not Jewish, you can't get one. So that's how that works. They also have they can't go to the same schools. They can't vote. There is a huge apartheid happening based off of skin color, based off of race, based off of religion. Because again, Israel has said they want a Jews-only state.
And Palestine is within Israel. So okay. Well, this is a big old shit show. I hate all of it.
Really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Like, what do we do?
It's so scary. It's so scary.
Kids who have lost all their parents now. Like, they're going to grow up hating Israel even more. It's going to be horrible.
And then it's going to be even more war later. The next generation will also be hating Israel, and they'll be hating each other.
As they should. You killed my parents. Fuck you.
True. It's just so much. And then we see this all in our history books or on YouTube videos of like black and white, and it's like, it's
Carla,
happening
they're telling
today.
us that slavery wasn't real. What are you talking about right now?
That part right there is like, come on. We still have living people. We still have living people that saw it, that had grandparents and parents there. Like, it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago, but we are getting older, so it's like it's about to be like long ago. But
sure,
whatever.
But it wasn't black and white. Pictures wasn't.
I'm glad that you gave me that breakdown, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this episode with you, because politics is definitely not my strong suit, but is something that I'm always like interested in it. But the way that people break it down is not like you just broke it down. It'd be so complicated, and I'm like, well, at this point, I don't care. Because you're not making it any easier for me. It's like one of the reasons why I love my pastor is because he breaks down the Bible to like things today, and like give me words that I understand before it's like, okay, explain to me where, like, I know where an apartheid is now, but it's like what most people might not know what it is. So break down what that is. Break down for me the country and the people and what the rules are and what they weren't, and go back to how you said 1947. This started back then, not yesterday, not 2 weeks ago, you know? So thank you for breaking that down for me, because I see some videos of people like crying and like from here crying and arguing with people. And I'm like, you're too emotional, first of all. And you're not getting the message to me. I know this specifically, the one girl, she's a podcaster, a great girl. She is Palestinian. And there's a lot of emotion there. Her family's there. But I'm like, because she's screaming and crying and upset, I can't receive it myself, because I'm really like, break it down for me like a dummy. I need to understand, because I didn't even know where the hell Palestine was, you know? Geography. I don't know where Oklahoma is. And we were talking about it earlier. So,
but this is the part that you were saying earlier, right? Like, it's like there's things that people are passionate about, and then there are things that are in politics that people don't want to fuck with. But politics is only about who gets to make the decisions. That's what politics is. And so as long as we know who gets to make the decisions, which I always believe it's the people, then inevitably we're all a part of politics. And it's not political that these people are dying. It's fucking humanity. You know what I mean? Like, yes, people get really passionate about
There's
this.
other
I'm
ways.
not Yeah, there are other ways. And I'm not Palestinian or Jewish, or Muslim for that fact. But I do wake up thinking to myself, what is happening over there is wrong, and it can be avoided, and it is man-made, and we have to do something about it, because I would want somebody to fucking help me if I was in trouble. Yeah. And so that's all we got to do.
Somebody that can really, really help. Well, that's a great segue into helping someone, because thank you again, because that was a great way of breaking it down. 2, we do have a letter that we're going to help. Now I'm going to give you two options.
Is this another trick? Okay, go.
No, it's not. No, we do have a segment where people we write in letters and we give them advice, because I am the most qualified professionally to give advice, but I think I do great. And so do my guests. I'm not a therapist or a doctor to give advice, but I have life experience. So, and if you're listening to this and you come every week, maybe we got something in common. So one of them is grief. Her mother passed away. And the other one is family issues with religion.
Which one do you want to do? Religion. I don't want to do grief.
Religion? Okay. Yeah. You're like, keep that away. Keep it now. All right. So this one says, hey, Carla, I'm 24 years old. I moved away from my parents. So young. I moved away from my parents because of religious debates. We had a few friends help me out with that. My family is strongly religious. I am not. I don't have a problem with religion. I just wanted to be left out of it. I was sick of the endless arguments, but that brought many punishments. I wasn't allowed to go out. I had no privacy. I was forced to read certain things, and so on and so forth. My dad did get physical at times. The last time my mom gave me an ultimatum, either I'd adapt to their faith or I will have to move out at my 18th birthday. I plan to do that anyways. And I had already spoken to a friend about that, so I moved out the next day. Oh, okay. That was the last I had something to do with them. Like, I would see them on occasions, but I have never engaged in anything. They tried, but I either ignored or left the place I saw them at. It's been 7 years. I live with my boyfriend now for a while, and I received messages of them apologizing, quote unquote, saying that they won't force their faith on me anymore. Granted, I have no contact at all to my younger brother and sister, but I'm honestly not sure it is all worth it. My life has improved a lot since getting away from them, and I'm not sure if they will just start all over again. To summarize, my parents treated me like shit for not following their religion. They gave me the ultimatum. What should I do? Not sure if I should get back with them, if it's even worth it. Damn. For me, I am estranged from my family. It is not, I guess religion could be a part of it, because she definitely is like a Bible thumper that does not follow any of the religious stuff. So it's like, not necessarily because of the religion, but more of who they are as people. And I think sometimes we have, in our culture, Black and Hispanic for sure, it's like family, blood over everything. It's like, that's your mama, that's your daddy, that's your sister. You have to stay together no matter what they do to you. That is your family, and you stay there. And I do not believe that. I don't. I think that if you don't know how to respect me, if I've told you time and time again, and you don't respect my boundaries, then I gotta go. And once I become an adult, then that's it. You can't tell me what to do anymore. So you're 24. It's been 7 years. That's a very long time to be away from your family, and it sucks. You're always gonna yearn for them. But if you feel like you're in a better place, then that's where you need to be. Is it possible that they're 7 years later now? They're like, hey, you know what? We're going to tone it down. We miss our daughter. Come back. We need you. People get older and sometimes change. And sometimes people get older and they don't change at all. So you can try. I tried last year, bit me in the ass after 5 years. But, it could go the other way. I went back. I tried. They did me dirty. I'm done now. You know what I mean? I'm done. Maybe, I don't know. Some other time I want to give it another try if they even try. But try. Be careful, I would say. And if you feel like it's not, then just don't. But also check yourself and find out if there's anything within you that you think, maybe I could be the problem in this, or maybe I could help facilitate this relationship. Maybe you guys can do some type of therapy together if they're open to it. For me specifically, I've asked my mother to do therapy with me for years, and she never wanted to. It was like, take me as I am, and that is what it is. And I'm not okay with that. So You know, I think we all have traumas. I've done things to her. She's done things to me that, you know, there's just so much family trauma that we have. And if you're not willing to work through it with a professional, then I don't tell you, because you can read the Bible all day, but you can interpret that however the fuck you want. So I don't know. I asked Megan Ashley from In Totality. She's very well versed with religion, and I am very spiritual. I am Christian. I don't know the ins and outs of the Bible. You know, I tried to go to church. I try to listen. I try to learn, but I didn't go to Bible school, and I don't understand all of it. So I asked her recently what it was, because people always say, oh, y'all sit here and be Christians when they use the Christians to enslave Black people. So I asked her that question recently, and I said, hey, what do you say to someone? Because someone said that to me. Oh, I can't believe you're so strong into this faith, and that faith was used to enslave us. And she said, I say to them, it's true. They did use the Bible. They did use their religion to enslave us. They did it, but that doesn't change what's in there. Go read it. Go find out. That doesn't change the principles of what Jesus said. So I think that's what I would do. Just kind of like go to therapy and check yourself, check them. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, keep it moving. I don't know. What would you do?
Well, I mean, that is also my story too. It's not religion, but I feel like I'm always just hitting a brick wall with my family. And I left and never turned around and looked back because of the boundaries that I had to set for myself, because it didn't feel like both sides were invested in figuring out how to meet in the middle. So I would just say the same thing you said, Carla, and ask yourself, really, what do you want? Because a lot of us could live without ever talking to the family again. Some of us want and desire some sort of relationship, and you have to ask yourself what you want and what that is. That's the only thing I would add to what you said, because I agree with everything you said. I also found this book. I don't know the author, but I'm a book reader, so I got this. It is
Oh, I know her.
I don't know her.
She also has the book Boundaries.
Yeah, she does. This is the same author.
Yeah. Nedra Glover. Yes.
Drama Free, a guide to managing unhealthy family relationships. And I can't tell you what the book is about just yet, because I just picked it up today because I had some stressful shit that happened yesterday, and I'm on page like 4. But so far, so good. So I would just recommend to her that find out what you want, and then pick up this book and read it, because it could be helpful to you.
Yeah, Nedra Glover, Drama Free. She is really, really good. She has the book Boundaries, but I didn't read her book Boundaries. I read the other book Boundaries by John Townsend. I don't know if you know that book, Boundaries.
No, I heard that one.
Ooh, girl.
Really?
So good. Yes. Is John Townsend, Dr. John Townsend, and somebody else. It's called Boundaries. It's white with red wording, something like that. And that helped me set a lot of boundaries. I can live and I'm fine without speaking to my family, but I would be lying if I told you that very often I want that mother figure. I want my mama.
That's
I would see my friends, but what do? I know that going back there is not good for me. So I have my friend's mom, Wendy, who is like my mother, and she'll cook for me. She'll help me with the baby. And like, I can go to them. I'll find within friends, people that truly love me and accept me and also check me. I don't want a yes person next to me. I don't want somebody to be like, oh, you're so great. You're this. It's like, well, how are you talking? Better. Hold me accountable. And that's also why I go to my therapist. Although some of y'all be lying to your therapist, but I go to my therapist and I tell the truth. And I'm like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm not feeling. This is what I want to do. And she holds me accountable as well. Yeah. So just being transparent. And then that doesn't always look pretty. Right. But, I like what you said also. What do you want? And as much as I want a mother, I know that my mother can't mother
fill that role. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she just doesn't know how to. And when I think about it now as a grown up, I know she has a past with her own mother, and there is family trauma there, and the things that she couldn't get past, and she's unable to love me the way that I need to be loved, and unable to understand me the way that I am, because what I do is weird. What you do is weird, right? They're probably like, you out there fighting for people that you don't even know. I'm over here telling my business to folks I don't know, So they're like, what are you doing? 100%. You're doing it for attention. I'm like, no, because at the end of the day, I just brought somebody here that's going to teach thousands of people about Palestine and how to do this. There's just all these different things that we do that's just different from the regular being an accountant working a 9-to-5 with benefits.
That's right.
So what you want is where you go. Yeah. So definitely reconnect if you feel like it. And the second that you feel like it no longer serves you, then you got to go. And Drama Free. I'm going to get it.
Yeah,
I'm reading right now. I have the Garden Within. By Dr. Anita Phillips.
Book. Yeah.
Yes. Dr. Anita Phillips. She just blew up because Oprah just put her on, and I watched her live and met her at the Woman Evolve. So she was one, and I'm reading.
I saw you at that conference, living your best life, girl.
Girl, by myself, took my ass over to. So good. It was so good. And then I also am reading All Hope Is Found, I think it's called, by Sarah Jakes Roberts. Yeah. So those two I got from the conference, and I was like, I'm gonna start reading these two just because I just don't want any self-help books right now, or like business books. I don't want none of that. So I'm reading those two. Good. And then we finish every episode with a Bible verse. Like I told you, I'm religious. I am not, because I grew up in a household where I felt like it was religion versus spiritual, and really having that connection. It was like, well, these are just the rules, and that's it. My grandmother was Pentecostal. I remember her having 50 black skirts. You can shave your legs. At least that wasn't for me. We were non-denominational. Well, no, we started with, oh my God, what's it called when they go from like city to city preaching with the Bible, Jehovah's walking? Witnesses? No, the Christian one. Oh my God. Whatever. Point is, non-denominational. I'm good. I decided to, as an adult, create my own relationship with God, and it has gotten me to where I am today, truly letting go of my wants and trying to listen more. And it took me, some trauma. It took me getting my ass beat in a relationship. It took me my family. It took a lot of things to get me there. But, I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening. So I got knocked down. So I end every episode with a Bible verse. And this week I went to church on Sunday, and he brings up this one passage or verse that we all know. I feel like even people that ain't Christian, they be seeing on Instagram, and it's Jeremiah 29:11. Everybody know Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you the hope and future." And this Bible verse, I think we all take it as like, we're going to be prosperous. We're going to be rich. We're not going to get hurt by nobody. He's going to give us hope and a future. And we imagine we the best with DJ Khaled, living with tigers and, all this stuff. But what I learned this week is that God is not necessarily promising us a successful life, but more of a significant life. And you can guys go to Journey Church Orlando with Pastor JJ. This entire message was so good. Oh, girl, you got watch the YouTube. He's so good. Because he's 37 and he just like breaks things down like, love it. But he's talking about a significant life and how success is so empty. You've been around people that have tons of money. You've been around very successful people. I've been there. I come from an upper middle class family. I didn't have to struggle for everything. My dad was well off. So I don't come from the hood. But because of that, I've also seen a lot of money, and I see how unhappy people are with money, right? And once you get to this successful, big, you got everything, you got to keep it. You know how hard it is to keep that? So what God is promising us is a significant life. And a significant life comes when you are doing for others, when you are, you're serving others. And that really fulfills you more than anything. So really, I wanted to bring that up because I want significance for you to be anchored in where you are and in what you're doing. And I just think of success as money. Like money comes and goes, man. And we saw that in the pandemic. And I come from the pawn business with my father, which is what he did from when I was born. And I would see these huge, successful, rich people that would come with their Rolexes and their Cartiers and their big chains, and they're to pawn it because they had just lost it all. The market crashed, or their business went down under, or the stock dropped, and now it's all gone. And now they're coming with their tails stuck between their legs to us. And it's like, this watch cost me $60,000. Can I please at least get $5,000? I'm just trying to eat, But when you're living a significant life and a life that you truly feel good about, and you're serving others and you love yourself and you love everybody else, it's just a completely different life. And that's what he was breaking down with Jeremiah 29:11, that the plans that he has for us to prosper us is inside, not necessarily the outer success, but how we feel within us and how we measure success. So that's the one that I wanted to bring up today, because we hear Jeremiah 29:11 all the time. And I think that it just gets interpreted in a different way, especially when we write those Instagram posts, or we see people writing Instagram posts, and it's like, child, stop it. Stop it right now. And I am not one that's like free of sin or imperfect. I am not. But I'm one that definitely tries to live in a better way every single day. But I'm not perfect. Anywho, that wraps up our episode of Pivot with Purpose. They're probably like, yeah, you're definitely not in the studio because you took longer. And I like this. This is actually part of the stuff that I like when it comes to doing stuff at home, because I can talk as long as I want.
I just realized it was an hour and a half. Damn.
Yeah. Why you talk so much? Jesus Christ. They're going to be like, this is long. And I'm like, I got paid twice.
I was passionate. Duh.
No, this is really good though. I really, we're going to do it. I'm actually going to be in LA in a couple of weeks. I just don't know if I'll have time to, but we're going to do it in person again. How can they find you aside from How We Get Free podcast? All y'all definitely go check it out. Give it a listen.
Only there. That's awesome. All things Tiffany D Loftin, Loftin. That's Tiffany D Loftin. I'm gonna say on all things, but I'm really only on Instagram and Twitter. And by the time January rolls around, I'm probably not gonna be on Twitter no more. So you can find me on How We Get Free. That's also on Instagram, and you can find me at Tiffany D Loftin on Instagram. And then
your link, we're gonna link that to the description of this episode as well. But it's on your bio. You said if they want to find out about jobs, paid ways to help.
Paid opportunities, paid internships, programs. I also am starting to get into the business of sharing trainings in schools if you want to learn how to be a better organizer. So yeah, it's in my bio. I call it Prayers to Jobs because I usually start with a prayer passage first and then I just list all the jobs afterwards.
I love that.
I know. Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. So I'll send it to you.
I love that. I love that a lot. Well, we're going to make sure we also add it to the description to this episode. And y'all don't forget, Idea to Launch. If you're looking to launch your own podcast, we have that. You can use the code PIVOT. Tiffany is one of them right here. She came through Idea to Launch. So not only is she really cool, but she also podcasts. And y'all know I don't take anybody as a client. I'm turning people down quick. I don't care how much money you got.
And she ain't dropped me yet either, which means I'm still doing good.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. Some people, I haven't really had to, in the beginning, I had to drop some people too that I can remember, like clients from hell, but I'm very grateful for them because they allowed me to start setting more boundaries and kind of like filter out who I want to work with, not just take anyone for money. But you know, when you're starting off, you're like, give me whatever opportunity to edit.
Boundaries seems to be a theme of today's conversation. And I just really love that.
Boundaries, big ones, and drama free.
That's
another episode of Pivot with a Purpose. Thank you for joining. I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.